Go.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining us today. Happy Thursday. My name is Chef Cheryl Tate. This is the Chefing with Cheryl show. Okay. I am a proud member of the LA South Chamber of Commerce. This is being brought to you today by the Hope Foundation, the nonprofit arm of our wonderful Chamber of Commerce. Helping other people every day is what we're about. This is the Chefing with Cheryl show. Thank you so much. This is our monthly broadcast where we talk about chefing things, definitely food, but we talk about a lot of broad things that affect our lives, okay? And one thing that we do more than once or twice a day is that we're eating, okay? And so as a chef, that's my responsibility to make sure that we're eating well, we're eating things that are good for us, and even how to eat, okay? So this month is Stress Awareness Month. Every month there's something for us to be aware of. Stress awareness is something we should be of all the time. We don't need a month to acknowledge it, okay? Because we are in a society where everything is very stressful, okay? So we have as our guest today, Sister Anisa Muhammad with Sisters for Life Health Equity. She'll be joining us a little later. But first thing I need you to do is please like this. Please share this. This information is critical. We need to understand why, what, and how, what happens in our community. So this is Stress Awareness Month. Okay. What exactly is stress? What exactly is stress? It is a physical and mental reaction to life experiences. Anything that happens to us, we have a reaction to it, whether it's good or bad. We see children, we're happy. That's wonderful. We see something stressful that tends to turn our flight or flight hormones on. So, and living in a metropolis, we live in Los Angeles. This is a wonderful city. There's a lot going on, good and bad, but we're all aware of what goes on and it all affects us. This is a driving city. So, if you're in your car and you're driving and you see things, it's very stressful. Our jobs can be stressful. Our lives can be stressful. So we want to talk about diet and how we can minimize those stressors that we're exposed to by eating food. Okay? Because we have to eat it. We need to make sure that what we're eating is good for us. So, one of the things that I really, really like to say, because we live in Southern California, is that we have access to fresh fruit. I say this over and over again that we are so fortunate that we can walk in a store and buy an avocado at a decent price. There's some places in this country where they can't get avocados. Okay. And avocado is a main source of magnesium. It is a stress buster. Okay. So they're so wonderful for us. And again, we're here in Southern California, so we have different ways of eating avocado. Okay, so here I have some in my refrigerator, no doubt. Okay, I went to the store this morning to buy this avocado, but I had some guacamole in my refrigerator, no doubt. So we're fortunate to have these things. So here it is, some guacamole from Trader Joe's with some whole grain crackers. Whole grains are another stress buster. Okay, we need to look at the ingredients of foods to see what ingredients in there are very good at reducing our stress level. So we understand that avocados are full of magnesium. That's something. Let's say if you had some guacamole on a stressful day, you would feel a lot better. Okay, that's just, I mean, not to be comical, but it's true. Okay, so if we were to consume some avocados on a regular basis, that's definitely healthy, definitely reduces the stress level. Okay, our omega-3 fatty acids are very important too. So I have some salmon here, some wild caught salmon that I'm going to put in the oven and just bake. All I have is some olive oil. We're going to get to olive oil in a minute. Olive oil, salt, and pepper. But this is omega-3 fatty acids. They're just bomb, 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 you know, and it's good for you too. It's a good, clean protein. So while we're talking about this, let's talk about olive oil. Now, as we've been going on the Chefing with Cheryl show, I always talking about having a stock pantry. I always talking about having all your vinegars and having all your oils. And really the only thing that you're going to the store for are your produce and, you know, and your meats, your proteins. You know, it's beautiful that, you know, if you can grow it, that's awesome. But someone gave me, my client gave me some 100% extra virgin olive oil. This is the best that there is. I'm so grateful. Okay. So when you're using olive oil, make sure that you get extra virgin. Make sure that you spend some money. Spend some money and get some good olive oil. It's a great investment.
Yes, it is.
Because you're going to be using it at different times during the day. I know I'm using olive oil at least 2 to 3 times a day when I'm sauteing something or I'm adding it to something because, of course, it is a great, great, great fat. Okay. So let's talk about leafy green vegetables lowering the stress level. Okay. They are so critical. And plus, if you know Chef Cheryl, she always talks about you need to get your leafy green vegetables in at least once a day. At least once a day. Okay. And so again, here we have the beauty of knowing that it's also a stress reducer. All right. So I have some kale here, some kale right here, and some beautiful collards I picked out in my garden. We're not gonna cook these, but they're so wonderful. If you have a garden, you're very fortunate that you can go out there and pick your vegetables and bring them in and cook them. You know, that is a stress reducer. Gardening is definitely a stress reducer. And the idea that you're growing something that you can eat, of course, that reduces your food bill, but that's a wonderful feeling. That's a wonderful feeling knowing that you grow something. All right. So again, here's some kale, wonderful collards. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some kale chips. It's going to be really simple. So what I did was I took this kale and I tore it up into little pieces and I used my olive oil. Okay. Salt and pepper. We're going to keep it real simple. Okay. So I have my oven at 325. It's kind of hot, but I need to go down just a little bit. We're going to be eyeing this. Okay. And we're going to just dehydrate them. Okay. It's better than a potato chip, I would say, because you're getting your good green leafy vegetables and you're also getting, you know, all that oxygen and wonderful things that will help reduce your stress level. Well, I have Sister Anissa Muhammad here with me from Sisters for Life. I'm sorry, Sisters for Life Equity, Health Equity, forgive me. And she is going to talk about stress awareness also. We had a great webinar last week where we really detailed stress, where it comes from, how we can curb it. And she's my guest today, and I've just been learning so much from her as far as eating and just different vegetables. She gave me some wonderful canned foods from her shelf. I am so grateful for this sister. I have been eating golden beets and just, you know, screaming to the hills because they're so good. Sister Anissa, are you there? Can you please come in and tell us about how our wonderful meeting and definitely about stress. Thank you so much.
Oh, no, thank you, dear sister, for having me on your program, Chefing with Cheryl. Yeah, I'm coming over to get some of that salmon because that is absolutely my favorite.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for being here. And if you happen to hear a baby crying in the background, it's my grandson. He wants to be coddled right now, and I got to give my baby that time. So just as Cheryl said, we talked so in-depthly about stress and stress management, where it comes from, how our brains process things. And she talked a little bit about that fight or flight right now. And I think in conjunction with us living in a metropolis and being exposed to, you can be calm and peaceful in 1 second and your life can be changed forever. I can give you an example. I'm in my car, I'm sitting at a light, all is well with the world, and the next thing you know, I got jammed by a car. I was in a 5-car collision and all I was doing was sitting there. And that is an immediate stressor, right? So, it's all about how you handle it. It's all about how you handle. You may not control anything that's outside of you, but you can control how you react. You can control how you handle it. And one of the most important issues about stress that we have to understand today is about this cute little hormone called cortisol. Cortisol is a blessing, and then at the same time, it can be a curse if you allow your stress to get the best of you. Cortisol controls blood pressure, it decreases inflammation, it controls blood sugar levels, it regulates your sleep cycle, and it manages how your body distributes carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, right? But too much cortisol can create the exact opposite. It can increase your blood pressure. It can increase blood glucose levels. It can even contribute to your gaining weight. And it can also increase your inflammation. So the best thing to do is to learn how to manage your stress effectively, not only by what you eat, but what you think and what it is that you do. And perhaps they call it nowadays, Cheryl, I think they call it setting boundaries.
Right.
And sometimes, unfortunately, we have toxic people in our environments. We work in a hostile environment and it's very stressful when you spend 40 to 70 hours a week around toxic people. Just go and kind of do that woosah kind of moment. In addition to the foods that Cheryl talked about, I love aromatherapy. You can burn some incense, you can burn some essential oils, take a hot bath, put a couple of drops of lavender essential oil in your bath water. It not only reduces the tension in your muscles and helps to take away inflammation and pain, but the smell of it is just so relaxing. You can come out of that beautifully essential oiled with lavender and lemon oil and burn some of that and put you in a good frame of mind. And then you can have you some tea, some chamomile tea. Exactly. And for God's sakes, stop watching violent programs right before you go to bed. Girl, we binge watch all kinds of stuff, Criminal Minds and all these cop shows that come on, and our brains don't know how to differentiate whether that's real or fantasy. So when you're on, I gotta do me, I gotta relax, I have to de-stress without watching TV. Put on some of that calming music, or put on some of the rainforest sounds, or anything other than the programs that have a lot of violence and different things like that, cussing and swearing and things like that. It's all about your frame of mind, and so, with that, start off at 5 or 6 o'clock with this beautiful meal like what Cheryl is preparing, and then distress, and keep your house in a state of distress. Show your family members, your husbands, your wives, your children how to distress. Our children grow under stress as well. They're people, they just little people, and they experience stress in different ways. So just incorporate that into your home environment and you'll be good to go. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister Anissa. Sister Anissa really hit on some very, very interesting points, because yes, living in a metropolis, we are just exposed to so many things, and it could come out of nowhere. I mean, you're just wonderful, peaceful, and then the next minute, that is just a stressor. And interesting enough, that's a stressor to know that it's a stressor that you're going to have a stress. I hope I made sense saying that, okay? But this is very real. We live in a society where anything could be happening and it just changes your life in a moment's notice. But getting back to stress-less foods, I found that, let's say if you are driving around and, our diets are so important. Once we can take control of our diet and how we eat and what we eat, that definitely lowers the stress level. So I know I'm going to hit it home again, but cooking reduces your stress level, right? So we have stress reducing foods, we have a garden, we're cooking our own food. That right there is very calming. I mean, just to think of that is very calming, knowing that you have control of something, you have control of what your family is eating, you have control of your destiny. That is empowering. That is taking away from the stress. So if you are riding around in your car, my suggestion would be keep some nut snacks in your car, some almonds or some uh, pumpkin seeds. This is a real fun nut mix. And it has pecans, I added pecans, but pistachios, almonds, pumpkin seeds, um, cranberries, and cherries. Okay. And of course, the dark red fruits, of course, are antioxidants. So that really brings that's another added wonderful bonus factor. So let's say, have this in your car. Just have some snack. We have to do some, work, a little footwork ahead of time. We have to prepare for these things. So, if it's something that you're going to be in your car all day, or you live in and out of your car all day, driving and delivering or whatever thing, you can definitely take control over your stress level, driving around in this wonderful metropolis, seeing all these interesting accidents that are going on, my goodness, with some nuts. Have some in your car. It reduces your stress level. You'll feel a lot better when you get home. You can cook some food, reduce your stress level. Definitely, definitely, we want to work on that. There's so many things that we have to keep in mind. There's so many things we have to make a priority. Our health is a priority. If we don't take care of our health, how can we work? As an entrepreneur, you can't function well if you have to think about your health. So again, we have avocados that are great magnesium. We have our omega-3 fatty acids with our salmon. Here's some spinach. Now again, when I talked about the leafy green vegetables, we have them in different phases here. We have the raw kale, and mind you, this kale here is ready for a salad. We've massaged it with some olive oil. We can put some salt and pepper on this, and we can eat this as a salad, just as itself. It's really wonderful. Okay. And our collard greens, of course, we know how we can eat collard greens. Definitely cut them up. Try to keep the pork away from them. Turkey is good. And we really don't need we don't need any protein to cook. These are wonderful by themselves. Okay. So our kale chips are coming along. And I just want you to see what this is. We basically just dehydrated these chips a little bit. I'm gonna put them back in the oven. But I just want you to see that they're like chips. They're like potato chips. Now this is a great substitute for tortilla chips or potato chips, okay? And here we go. If we did the upfront work, we could have some of these and have them in a bag. So, the next time you're going out, you can definitely be mindful of that. So what I'm going to do at this time is I'm going to put my salmon in the oven because I want us to have something, in the end. I want us to have something in a plate that we can look at in the end. So, stress awareness, sometimes we don't even know that we're stressed, okay? And we do things that we're not really sure, we're not really sure why we're doing it, okay? So we're not even sure why we have anxiety and depression because of some of the things that are coming at us that we're really not understanding, okay? These are some of the results of stress, which is overeating, undereating. And sometimes you're so stressed you don't want to eat, okay? And when that comes in, go immediately for the stress reducing foods. Go immediately for your salmon, find a salad of some kind. If you're not eating, make sure whatever you eat is going to be good. Okay. Don't run for the gallon of ice cream. Please don't do that. Okay. But yes, overeating and undereating are results of stress. Self-medicating, alcohol, prescription drugs, that it's like an escape. Doesn't really help our health. Big bowl of greens would solve that. Brain activity, dysfunctional brain activity, stressors of some kind, that's the result of stress too. Confusion, it's depression. That's one of them also. Okay. Increased heart rate, excuse me. That's another result of stress. So these are things that I just need us to pay attention to in our lives. We have to check in and find out where we are so we can correct ourselves, self-correct, okay? Increased blood pressure. Okay, these are all the things that Sister Anissa was talking about, that these cortisol levels are heightened, okay? Irregular breathing patterns, okay, creates cortisol, what we were talking about. So we have to be aware. If anything in this lifetime, we need to be aware of what's going on in our surroundings so we can say, we can curb it, okay? I listen to a lot of, and one thing I don't do is I don't watch television, okay? So one thing I do is I watch a lot of YouTube, and I listen to the scholars say that, we have to help our children, okay? Because our children are just as stressed as we are. As Sister Anissa was saying, they're just a little, and they have a different way of processing. But they have different stressors. They have different stressors, I was young once, a lot of us were. And I had stressors when I was a kid. Now that I think back on it, the bullying and, don't have enough money for lunch, reaching in your pocket and everything. So we grew up like that. And having to grow up like that with, what do you call that? It's called ACEs, acute childhood experiences. So is that the correct term, Sister Anissa? It's
adverse childhood. It's adverse childhood events, and it's that's something that they're looking at, and certification for that is free. And you're exactly right, dear sister. I remember one of my daughters was teased at school every single day. Guess why? Because her mother packed her healthy lunches and they ate junk food. They called her Little Miss Goody Two Shoes. My son was bullied by a little boy. Why? Because he had a father, and the other little boy that tried to fight him every day did not. So, and they don't share these things with us. They really don't. So we have to be able to read our children, and even, not press them too much, but read them and know that they're under stress, and give them a hug. Let them know whatever it is, let's talk about it, and give them some of that wonderful, healthy, de-stressing type of food, and teach them how to de-stress on their own, and they'll get it,
Yes, I'm sure they will. And again, here we go back to, just the childhood experiences. You taking care of your grandchild is one of the best things you could do. We're OG. I look forward to the point when I have grandchildren and I can take care of them. I look forward to that because I understand, childhood is, it's something that, all of us may not have had a great childhood, but we can still have one. We still having a good childhood, and I do that by making sure someone else has a good childhood. Okay. When I see children, first thing I want to do is help. And this, oh my gosh, this is something that I'm going to start doing. I'm going to start sitting in the nursery with the newborns and just hanging out with the newborns. Okay. Get a rocking chair. I'm working at a nursery, and I'm going to sit there with the newborns and rock and talk to them. Okay. Now I'm doing that for them, but I think that's a great stress reducer. Okay. That's going to be a wonderful stress reducer, so we're going to help each other. Okay. I am so, so grateful just to see this, Sister Anissa. So here we have our kale chips. Okay. Here is another way to eat our leafy green vegetables. Okay. So here we have kale chips, and they're just like potato chips. Very light, very airy. We put salt and pepper on them. They're awesome. They're awesome to eat any time of day. Wonderful, wonderful. I enjoy having them. Just, they're really good. Sorry, eat this. They're really good garnish. I find when you're making something, just put that on there. All wonderful. So, how do we live a life? One of the subjects that I said as far as this webinar is living to live stress-free. Okay. So we have talked about all these things of living to live stress-free, especially in our diets, especially in our diets. It's something that we have to embrace. Like I said, we live in a metropolis. So our stressors are different from someone living in a rural situation. And I've come across many people that said that they lived in a rural area, and that's all they did was lived on the farm, and they lived a very healthy life. They didn't have a lot of, they had a great immune system, okay, because they didn't have a lot of stressors. They had different types of stressors working on a farm and so what, but being in the dirt and working with the animals and tilling the land and growing the food, that is a stress reducer. So when I talk about living in the city, here we go. Be nice if you had a little piece of land where you could grow something. I'm just so fortunate that I have a garden and I can grow some collard greens, and definitely we're going to till the land and do some other herbs and stuff. So that really helps. We have to look for ways that we can scale back on whatever it is that's going on. This has really been an interesting decade because here we are in 2022, and 2020 really started out, whew, I'll just say like this, whew, okay. But here we are 2 years later, and it hasn't stopped. Whatever stressors that have been coming at us from all over the world has not stopped. Okay, so we have to have these skills. This is, just life skills in general, as far as being able to cope with these stressors, because they're not going to get any, they're not going to get any less. Okay, so here's some other things I just wanted to share with you, as far as us knowing that, some things we just need some foods we need to stay away from, you know. So, okay, I'm a coffee drinker and I only have one cup of coffee, but that, drinking lots of coffee, that kind of heightens the stress level. So we want to take care of that. We want to watch that. Okay. Alcohol, we talked about that before. Refined sugar. Okay. If you're going to eat fun pastries, okay, here I go. Stay away from white sugar or bake them yourself. Okay. White sugar really works on our stress level because it's an empty calorie. So with all these foods that I have suggested here, get something that's going to be sweet for you, sweet naturally, like a honey or agave nectar or another sweetener. Fried foods we really need to stay away from, or just minimize them. Just minimize, just have everything in moderation, okay? Because, one thing we don't do, and that's something that we don't change. People just don't change like that. It has to be a transition. So if we understand, then we can make the change towards getting better, okay? So when I say these things, always know that it's a progression. It's a progression. You may not want to cook now, but in time it'll stay on your mind, and you say, well, gosh, maybe I do need to go home and cook. You know, everything is more expensive now. So I would think that going in the grocery store, even though everything is going up, all the prices are going up, gas on down. We need to take this and sort of look at, well, how can my food dollar go further? Maybe I am better coming home and eating. Maybe there's a garden I can go and get some fruit and some vegetables out of instead of eating this fried food. You need to just take a little bit more time and slow it down. Okay. And again, in that, you're lowering your stress level. Okay. There's so many things that we can do. You know, I like to write about doing nothing. It's really interesting when we can turn off the TV and turn off the radio and sit down in a quiet place, maybe under a tree, you know, watch the flowers grow, watch the birds, watch the hummingbirds, you know, that is definitely a stress reducer. We have to take those little moments in time. We have to take those little moments in the day, you know, to see where we can slow it down. You know, if everybody had this frame of mind, it would definitely help us generally. Okay. So, and sugary drinks. Okay. Water should be the main source of our liquids. Okay. So I have this right here because Kangen water is wonderful. It's always my shot for Miss Isabel, but hydration is important. So if we're drinking water and we're drinking water on a regular basis, that definitely lowers the stress level. I don't mean to sound simplistic, but you know, these things aren't hard, okay? It's just the stressors of the world that come around us that make things hard, okay? So let's look at this. Okay, our salmon's almost done. So Sister Anissa, do we have any current things going on right now that we'd like to talk about with your business?
You know, sis, I'm very glad that you brought up the issue of hydration.
Yes, ma'am. Please.
Because having a well-balanced fluid and electrolyte system is very crucial to good health. What do I mean by that? When our fluid and electrolytes are off, the first two things that are compromised is our immune system and our ability to function well mentally. When you talked about the vitamins and minerals and the Kangen water, a lot of times when people talk about hydration, they don't think about water-based fruits and vegetables. Mm-hmm. The water is a nutrient, but it does not have any vitamins. It does not have any minerals, but zucchini does, yes, broccoli does. Mm-hmm. You know, there are so many squashes. I love zucchini. I love the yellow crookneck squash. And butternut squash is absolutely wonderful. And it's naturally sweet. You talked about the sugars. A lot, you know, Thanksgiving and Christmas and all these other wonderful holidays. And just because it's Sunday, we eat a lot of yams and we jam pack them with sugars and butter and different things like that. Butternut squash is a good substitute, and you could just put some honey on it. You can cook it the same way you do those yams. And you know what? You won't even miss it. But it's jam. It's a water-based vegetable. Watermelon, all of your melons have a lot of water in them. And so we can make sure that our hydration is covered in all areas. It's not just about water. We have to have water-based fruits and vegetables that are chock full of magnesium and sodium and potassium. Vegetables have all of the sodium we need, truthfully. You just need to put a little tiny bit of salt on it, you know, and if you're going to use salt, because our bodies actually need them for fluids to go in and out of the cells so that the cells can stay healthy to do what God created them to do. Celtic sea salt is a wonderful substitute. It's the best salt in the world, the gray salt, Celtic sea salt. is that, and you know what? I've actually even seen Celtic sea salt bring a person's blood pressure down when it went up.
Wow, that's
So
interesting.
it's not sodium that's the issue. It's the how we use it, and then don't drink enough water and different things like that. So it causes us to retain water instead of expelling it, because expelling water as a waste is a natural process. So, you know, it's just so we could talk about this forever and ever and not even repeat the same thing twice. It's just so much content in what it is that you're doing with the cooking demonstrations, and, you know, explaining what things are, how it works inside the body, what it, the good it does, the bad it does, and then showing us how to cook stuff healthy. You are a gem in our community, and I thank you, Sister Cheryl. And I think Miles is bearing witness too, because you see he talking, right?
My goodness, my goodness. Well, I just wanted to bring this out because, you know, I met with Sister Anissa last week and she gave me some wonderful beets that she had canned. And I took them over my client's house because I was working with the client, and I chopped them up and I put them in a salad. And they were like, oh my gosh, what is this? Okay. And I said, well, they're golden beets. And I got them, you know, I got them from one of my colleagues. They were just overjoyed. They were overjoyed in having something canned. And me too. I have to say that, you know, I'm going to come and spend some time with you and learn how to can, because that to me is just that's the ultimate. Okay, to be able to have food that you have on your shelf that you did yourself and come back 6 months later and say, oh, it's fresh. You know, as fresh as the day that you canned it. That to me, I was like this. Woo! You know, that's me being excited by food. Okay. You know, I'm true to what I do. But these golden beets were just beautiful. They're just beautiful. And even though they are not red, they are still packed with nutrients and everything. You know, God made things different colors, okay, as we will see. Okay. So he did red beets too. I'm sure he's done some purple beets somewhere too. But the wonderful thing is that we have color in our diets, and it definitely adds to the palate, because we, of course, we eat with our eyes when we see what was going on, and we see the plate, and it's appealing. You know, oh gosh, this is so pretty, I want to eat it. Again, that lowers your stress level because it's something pleasing to the eye, and we know our body is getting ready to receive it. It's interesting, psychology. Your body's getting to receive that beautiful food. Okay. So, and so that is a stress reducer. Okay. I mean, even though when I think about it, and they taught us in school, okay, you know, you eat with your eyes, and you are literally eating with your eyes, because when you see something, it's telling your brain you're getting ready to eat that. So it's telling your mouth, get ready to receive that. Your body's ready to chew it. I mean, you know, if we just want to get physiological, but that definitely lowers the stress level. Okay. So good food is just, you know, it's important for us all around. Important for us all around. So in order for us to just remember these foods that will lower the stress level, let's just think about the Mediterranean diet. Okay. People in certain parts of the world live by olive oil. They eat olives all day long. They're making their own pasta. Okay, they're eating foods that are rich, you know, in omega-3 fatty acids. So, and they may drink wine at some time, but everything in moderation. All these things are lowering their stress level. So they're living longer. Their health is better, you know, because of what it is that they're eating and their stress level. So I would say, if you want to live better, let's start with the Mediterranean diet. And believe it or not, it's everything that's here. We don't even have to say Mediterranean. We could just say eat better. Avocados, nuts, green leafy vegetables. Okay? These are things that we all do because we're creatures of habit. You know, I know that I'm going to eat avocados every day because one, we're in Southern California. I'm going to have some guacamole. I'm going to have some guacamole. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to go outside and I'm going to cut some greens and I'm going to have some greens. I'm going to have some greens and cornbread and some black eyed peas. Okay. I'm going to do that. That is my habit. Okay. I'm going to have some kale chips because I know how healthy they are. So if we can create the habit of eating better, that's what we want to do because habits form good lives. If you have a good habit of driving safe, you will drive safe. If you have a good habit of eating correctly, you will eat correctly. So it's all in the mind. It's really all in your mind. So I'm going to take this out. Okay, and we have some beautiful, beautiful salmon here. Okay, and we're going to put it right next to our spinach. Okay, right next to our spinach. Okay, and here we have our kale chips and our sauteed spinach and our baked salmon. This is just with olive oil, salt, and pepper. Okay, I'm going to keep this simple so we can see that simple is good, simple is attractive. It doesn't take a lot. It just takes for us to be aware. Okay, so you know, and look, oh my gosh, let's put the golden beets on the plate. Okay, all right. So this is what you might call a stress reducing meal. Okay, because we have our omega-3 fatty acids, we have our leafy green vegetables, you know, we have our we have some beets, which are just a wonderful, wonderful food. Okay, so what do we talk about? Let's have some snacks. Let's keep some snacks handy. Okay, nuts are a great snack to have around. Definitely good for the stress reducing. Definitely a good fat. Definitely a good fat. Okay, and these are things that we can just, you know, if you're just really up here, you can have a handful of this. Have a handful of nuts, and it'll definitely lower your stress level, especially almonds and pumpkin seeds. So in this, we really can see that it's not hard. This isn't hard. You know, it's just a thing of just being mindful of what it is that we're doing. Okay. So we have everything here. Sister Anissa, are you doing good over there? How's the baby?
He's talking right now.
Oh, okay.
And he wants to remove the stuff off that's on my desk and jump down on the floor. And we had to remind him that, sir, you can't walk yet, so stop diving for the floor. So my hands are full right now. But I do know that this is a wonderful program, and it's good to give people mass, meaning to give them something to look at so that they can relate to the topic that you're discussing. Because it makes it easier, because when you start talking about terms that a lot of people don't understand, because they look at it as a medical term. It's not a medical term. We're just taught to eat this, that, and the other. When we grew up, we just ate what was in front of us, because my mother's philosophy was, you either gonna eat it or wear it, one of the two, right? So it's like, she said, well, can I have something different? And her response was, do I look like a white woman named Carol Brady? I'm not making a different meal for you. That was her natural response. And so when we learn about vitamins and minerals and different things like that, maybe that's something, a project that you and I can work on, is coming up with a vitamin and mineral chart that we can put on the Hope website.
Definitely.
Definitely. And or something like that, so that everyone can have a frame of reference of what the vitamin is, whether it's water soluble, fat soluble, what it does for your body, and the different types of foods that they can get it in, as opposed to buying things off of a shelf that's costing you $25, $30, $40, when you can spend that $35, $40 to eat several meals with the same thing in it. It's not to say that it's a bad thing, but vitamins and minerals off of the shelf generally are synthetically made. And whether people understand it or not, your body does know the difference between something that's real and something that's fake.
That's very true. That's very true. That's an awesome point, because when the body gets something that it does not know how to process, either it'll store it or it'll get rid of it the best way it knows how. But that is very correct. It does recognize when something is right and something is wrong, of course, in the body, especially when something you consume. Okay. It sometimes it'll just store it somewhere. Okay. And if you're not eating something right and you're saying, oh my gosh, I don't feel right, it's because your body does not know how to process that, whatever it is you eat. And so that is where it's just so critical. It's so critical that we pay good attention to what it is that we're eating. Okay. And we know that things are a little bit more expensive nowadays, but we still have to take that time to really look and see exactly what it is that we're eating and how it helps us. Okay. And again, I can't emphasize enough that having a stocked pantry really lowers your stress level, but it really helps, because when you come home and you want to do that cooking, you don't have to go back out. You don't have to go back outside and go back to the store or wonder what it is that you need. So it's preparation. Preparation is key. You know, as we go on our journey of healthy eating, we know we have to be a little bit more proactive. We have to think things out ahead of time so we can be more prepared for whatever it is. So whenever the situation arises or whatever it is, the stress level is definitely lowered. Okay. So Sister Nisa, can you just give your contact information, please, and how one can reach you and everything? This has been an awesome provider of information today.
Yes, ma'am. The best way to contact me via shows like this, you can visit my Facebook page by Anessence Consulting. That's spelled ANESSENCE Consulting, or you can reach me via email at sisters, SISTERS, the number 4, life health equity at gmail.com. And I really had planned to put this in the chat, but a certain person won't, when my hands move, his hands move. And I don't want to discombobulate something, because, I'm just now coming up into the modern times with being on Zoom. So if something throws me off, I won't be able to come back. And, sis, I really appreciate being on your show. And the biggest takeaway for me today is what you just said. When you said the body, if it's something that the body can't process, it doesn't know how to process. And I related that to our stress.
Yes.
It's like there are things that happen and we don't mentally, emotionally, psychologically, we don't know how to process what just happened or what we just heard or saw. And it just stays there, creating stress. So sis, that was very powerful. I never thought about it that way, but I'm glad that you said it. I'm so happy you said it, because I'm going to go back and think about that. Because we get stuck in stuff sometimes, right?
That's true. That's true. We live in a metropolis, and we see a lot of things, okay? And they're not, like you said, your brain processes it like it's real. Okay, so even though we're watching all these crime shows and all these terrible things going on, your brain is processing it like it's next door. Okay, so you have to pick and choose what you're going to bring in. So it's just really, really important, and I can't stress enough that everything we do, we need to be mindful of. Especially here we are in South LA, we have our stressors, we have our lives, we're entrepreneurs, we're going about our daily things. Like I was just saying this morning, I had so much happen to me before this webinar happened. I had to do this. I had to literally woosah, like you said, woosah, and say, okay, we have this webinar to do. Let's go forward. But then I said, okay, look, I'm going to take that energy, that stress energy, and say, hey, look, this is what we're talking about. This is how we can reduce. I'm sitting here eating guacamole because I want to reduce my stress level. And here's my lunch right here. But family, I am so happy that you have joined. My name is Chef Cheryl Tate. I am with the LA South Chamber of Commerce, Hope Foundation. This is the Chefing with Cheryl show. We help other people every day. So I hope in this webinar that you have taken away something, just a little bit of what it is that we're talking about as far as stress awareness is. We will have these tips in the, I know this is going to be a YouTube video. I know we'll have it in the notes section. These the information about stress reducing foods and just some tips and everything that you can just, just keep those little bitty tips, because I like to give lots of them. So if you're listening to me, there's always something that you can take away that you can say, oh, okay, I can do that. But one thing we do want you to do is to lower your stress level. This may be Stress Awareness Month, but this happens every single day. So we have to remember to reduce our stress level, eat better, and pay very good attention to what it is that we do in our lives. Again, my name is Chef Cheryl. I'm with the LA South Chamber of Commerce. This is the Hope Foundation, helping other people every day. And we will see you next month with another wonderful topic and another great host. So we thank you so much for your time. This has been an honor and a privilege to share this time with you. And we look forward to seeing you next month. Thank you so much.